Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist discussion. If you guys didn't know, every Tuesday and every Friday through this long and torturous off season, like we are really in like the muck of the torture right now, but we're talking about the show. We're keeping you guys up to date, involved. Your brains are going with theories. If you do want to get more great videos about the Blacklist and other great shows, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys so much for your support, and we're on the road to 60,000 here at the channel.
And follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We've got some really fun stuff going on over there, so hit that follow button. So today's theory, or what we're going to talk about, is if there was actually a way to save Liz. And we know that Megan Boone was leaving the show.
Yeah.
So this is hypothetical if she wasn't leaving the show. This is just story-wise.
Yeah.
If Reddington and Cooper communicated more and actually shared information, because this season in particular, there was a lot of them not sharing everything.
Yeah.
And in the past, this has happened a little bit here or there, or Reddington might not tell Cooper everything, but Cooper will tell Reddington more and vice versa. But this season specifically, they both held back information from each other. And one very important thing that they held back, that Cooper held back, is Reddington was not told about Liz's burn notice. And we kind of were sitting back talking about it and wondering, if Reddington was told about this burn notice, would things have played out differently?
I'm so excited that we're doing this because I love the Reddington Cooper relationship. This is like a top 3 Blacklist relationship for me because,
Yes.
neither one of these guys are idiots. They're both like exceptional at what they do. They
Yeah.
have a long history
Yeah.
together. And I think in just sort of looking at this question, could they have saved Liz? I could be wrong. I think the answer here is yes. I think the two of them, they both have egos. They both think they know they think that they're right a lot. This is true with a lot of people. Everyone thinks that they're right all the time, which makes discussions on the internet not often productive. But, I think they both thought they could save Liz, and in both of them thinking that, not helping each other, they effectively doomed her.
Yeah, it felt a lot this season like a lot of the information they kept from each other ended up sending Liz further and further away, further and further sort of down this dark path, further and further into danger. And it feels like if they had shared more information, that this could have ended up differently. Now, we know that the burn notice was handed down by Panabaker, and there's been lots of theories that Panabaker sent Van Dyke, hired Van Dyke to go and kill Liz. I'm not one of the people that believes in that. I think that he was just carrying out Townsend's wish, and that it was as simple as that he found her, he killed her in front of Red. Everything worked out the way Townsend would have wanted.
It's a situation that's really complicated because there's a lot of different variables at play here. I do think the biggest question I have with a lot of this is just pretty simply, if Reddington had known about this burn notice, and, and I'm assuming as well that Van Dyke was totally disconnected from Panabaker here, and ultimately, I just think Reddington wouldn't have had Liz out on that street. I think he would have thought, okay, if there's a burn notice out on her, I can't be anywhere public with her. Like that big, just lovely montage, as fun as it was to see, Reddington and Liz and Mrs. French and Agnes all that wouldn't have happened. They would have been indoors, safe, protected. Liz would have never been on that street. If Reddington needed to die, he could have died somewhere else.
Absolutely. Reddington still could have put together this plan where Liz was in hiding. The whole purpose that Reddington had for this 30 years was to protect Liz. If he knew that there was a burn notice out on her and that there was a possibility that someone was going to be out to kill her, even with Townsend dead, I think that he would have gone about things in a different way. He still could have died or gone through with this, but it could have been in a private way. It didn't need to be so public. I just think things would have been very, very different.
And the part of this I have just the hardest time wrapping my head around here is that Reddington says he cares about Liz more than anything else. And we know Cooper views Liz as sort of, it's not his child, but there's definitely a fatherly sort of relationship that he had with her. He looked after her. Like, why couldn't they put that ahead of anything else? Like, we know that there's a source of distrust here. We saw a lot of it play out over Ivan, over the communication that was going on, the Russian knot, like all of that sort of stuff. But how is this all that different from any of the other secrets that Reddington has kept over the years from the task force? Because it feels like every season we have Reddington be like, go arrest that guy, and then the task force is like, okay, and then Reddington kidnaps that guy and then uses him for his own purpose. It's like, this is not new.
No, but for season 8, there was a lot of protect Liz. Even with the task force, we saw the task force was like, besides Park, was super compromised. We saw Aram, RESSLER, Harold, everybody did end up doing things to help Liz protect Liz. The minute that Cooper knew about the burn notice. Now, the burn notice doesn't necessarily mean she's going to be killed off by Panna Baker or FBI or anybody else. It basically meant she was going to be scrubbed. But that could possibly mean that she was going to get killed. And at that point, I don't know why no one from the task force would have informed Reddington of this burn notice and what was kind of going on with that. Because they all had the same mission, which was to make sure that Liz was okay, even if they were trying to bring her in to make sure she wasn't going to end up dead.
I hate to get all simplistic about this because, I am the same person who tries to claim that the Blacklist is just a love story and more than anything else, and I know not everybody likes that, but here's where I'm going to go with this. I just think every person on this show wanted to puff out their chest and wanted to be like, I'm the one who helped Liz. I am the hero. I got my cape on. I'm flying around, and that they didn't want a sidekick, and I'm speaking metaphorically here because I know Reddington has Dembe and all of that, but I think Reddington didn't want anybody else's help because he thought he could help Liz, that he knew better, it was a means to his own end, and that what he was going to do was going to help her in the end, and that the task force would just get in the way.
Yeah, no one was listening to each other, and that's the other issue that kind of comes up with Reddington and Cooper in general.
Yeah.
They both trust each other enough to give each other some information, but not all the information.
Yeah.
Like they both do think that they know best and that they can help the best sort of thing. And they just won't seem to take in any real help from anybody else. Dembe tried to even tell him, hey, the treatment is working. Like, why not take a step back and think about this for a moment? Nah, we're going to do it my way. I know best. We're going to go forward with my plan. And it was sort of the same with Cooper as well.
I think Reddington's most important commodity to me, it's not how much money he has. It's not, what resources he has. I think it's like how much control he has. And I even think that's probably why he was like, to Dembe about the treatments, because he probably doesn't want a treatment controlling his destiny. I think if he dies, clearly he wants to die on his own terms, on his own way. He doesn't want some disease to be it. He wants to have control of his narrative, and I think even with Cooper, he's not like, here, Cooper, pick up the pen for a little bit and write the next chapter in my story, because I don't want to co-author in any of this.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another sort of out there theory on a lot of this.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so I think a lot of this just comes back to the question of, does Liz really need to die at the end of all of this? And I think all roads lead to this, because I just think the Blacklist as a show, they weren't even caring that much about trying to justify anything or trying to show Reddington and Cooper trust each other, because I think they were probably just like, Megan's leaving the show. We can't make it seem like there's any chance Megan's going to come back, because maybe we know she's not going to come back. So we just got to try to kill her off and try to explain away all of the other problems after the fact and leave everybody lingering with confused questions.
Yeah, and I mean, with this burn notice, I'm expecting, and I probably shouldn't have any expectations with this show, but I am expecting this conversation to come up in season 9, where Reddington eventually hears from Cooper that there was a burn notice out on her, and that it pulls apart their relationship a little bit more, because like I said, we saw at the beginning of the show where there was a lot more sort of trust, where it was Reddington giving, a pretty good amount of information to Cooper and the task force. They would go get the guy, and of course Reddington would find a way to use that to his advantage, but there did seem to be more of a flow of information. Not all information, but way more than this past season. So this past season, we had Cooper keeping information, Reddington keeping information. I think once Reddington finds out that there was a burn notice and he wasn't told, that it is going to turn into even, I'm not saying like they're going to be against each other or anything like that, but Reddington a little more like, oh, you're going to keep even more information from me. You're going to keep something that could have saved Liz's life away from me. Okay, now I know that I'm going to be giving you the least amount of information you need to know. You get the bare minimum, you get nothing else.
This idea of Reddington giving Cooper crumbs, this sets up perfectly. Okay, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. This is a hot take, but we had this discussion in another video about who should be the new female lead of the show, and I kind of feel like at this point, I would rather Cooper be a lead of the show. I think Harry Lennox can be number 2 on the call sheet now after James Spader, because unless it's like the real Katarina that you're bringing on and that's not Reddington, or like, is any new character going to be like 5% as compelling as Cooper at this point in time?
Yeah, a lot of my favorite scenes is Cooper and Red. They are both extremely smart guys. Yeah. I loved the stuff between them this season even more than anything else, because there was that, we know we need to work together, but we're going to hold back stuff, but we're going to give just enough. And it was really cool to see Cooper doing that a lot more than he ever had in the past with Reddington. And both of them know that the other person is doing that, and that they kind of would have those conversations here and there where they're kind of like, you're not telling me everything. Well, you're not telling me everything. All right, well, I'll see you later.
You're the problem. No, you're the problem. It's really fun, this stuff. And we had like that chunk where Megan wasn't in halfway point of the season, and I know a lot of people really like those episodes. I kind of like them, but there was this just specter of wondering where Liz is. Now that specter's gone and we can really just focus on these guys, I think this could be like all of us Blacklist fans just kind of like going into the candy store of interesting relationships and just trying to play around with different dynamics and see, test out the different combinations of candy flavors here and see what tastes good. Yeah. Who doesn't love candy? Okay, well, anyway, that's sort of where we're thinking right now with Reddington and Cooper. But what do you guys want to see explored here? What kind of flavors do you think are going on? And do you think they could have saved Liz?
Speaking of flavors, make sure you head over to our Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, where Matt has been discovering the donut shop down the street from us, and it is kind of like a Voodoo Donuts, if you know anything about that, where they have like these gourmet donuts. He's been going there every weekend. We have a whole bunch of pictures up there on our Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, so follow us there if you want to see some of the cool donuts that are going on.
Also, this is just a random idea, but if there's any donut flavors you guys are interested in, let me know. I may pick up one of them someday and put it on Instagram.
Also, if there's any topics you guys want us to talk about here, we are in sort of the dead part of Blacklist. Filming hasn't started yet. Yeah. We still have our own ideas, but if there's stuff that you guys are interested in us talking about here at the channel for Blacklist, leave it in the comments for us and we will take a look.
Thank you guys for watching as always. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you here next time.